Welcome to the biggest masjid in Houston. Right here, located in Sugar Land, Texas. One of the most beautiful masajid in America. There is no other masjid like this. This masjid is bringing people here in Texas. It's a magnet for Muslims all over America.
Maryam Masjid is number one. Living in Sugar Land for its beauty, its community. When we moved to Sugar Land in 2000, there was no masjid in Sugar Land. This used to be a batting cage where they had sports and whatnot. This entire building was a sporting cage. This was then converted to a masjid. There was no water. Water was something we used to bring from our home for people to do wudu. The first salah that we had was Asr. It was barely about 9 people. People actually move in from out of state because they see Maryam, they see the community, just attracts them and they feel that this is the community that they want to belong. Fort Bend County is predominantly Desis.
What was the reason of Desi population in?
I think Maryam Masjid.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
This masjid actually started off in March of 2004. If I'm right, the date is probably March 17, 2004. Initially, this was a concept that my father, Hilal Ahmed, had a dream or sort of visualized a masjid in our neighborhood. We lived just right in the next neighborhood to the masjid. He was a da'i, he was a scholar from Medina. He sort of spent majority of his life in Nigeria. And then he moved over to Houston with us when he was sick. He was in his sort of terminal stage of Parkinson's. And so he had this idea that it would be nice to have a masjid. Again, this is 2000, probably early 2000. And so there were very few masajid in Houston. And so he's like, it would be nice to have a masjid in a walking distance proximity to the house where we all were living. And so that's how we started looking for. In March of 2004 is when we rented a space not too far away from here. It's probably about 10 minutes of walk here, right on the street all the way to the end. So it started off with a trailer. There was no water. Electricity had to struggle to get in there. But alhamdulillah, again, as I said, March 17, 2004, we started. Water was something we used to bring from our home for people to do wudu. The first salah that we had was Asr. It was barely about 9 people or so. From 2004, the community started building. Actually, we called a few shuyukh. This was something that we rented under the family name. And then we approached a different organization. So alhamdulillah, finally ISGH, Islamic Society of Greater Houston, showed their interest in sort of adopting this masjid. A little background of ISGH is it has almost about 22 plus Islamic centers in Houston today. But then it probably had about 8 or so. So this was in the early stages of masjid evolving in Houston. It was initially categorized as musalla because we didn't have too many Muslims in this area. It was, majority of people were in Houston. 2005, 2006 is when it was actually turned into an Islamic center. When I say Islamic center, it means we're having proper Jummah, Sunday school, all of the typical requirements that ISGH has for their Islamic center. The community started growing. When the masjid came, this was the only masjid in Sugar Land. In fact, Sugar Land in its area. There was no Richmond, no Rosenberg then. It was all just mainly Sugar Land. Houston, Sugar Land. We started looking for a better place because community was growing. So alhamdulillah, in 2007, we were able to secure this place. This used to be a batting cage where they had sports and whatnot. This entire building was a sporting cage. This was then converted to a masjid exactly as you're seeing with the minimal cost. And if you look at it, there's no pillars, no nothing. At that time, this used to be something really unique where you have such a big hall with no pillars in between.
Absolutely.
The structure, if you can see, was honestly done in the most economical way. And alhamdulillah, even to date, I think it's considered, if not then at least one of the most beautiful masjid in Houston. Again, it's a metal building, but then all decorated, all covered up internally and externally, as you can see. This is the main men's hall that we have. Khatib stands over there, of course. That's an extension of the masjid. It's normally used for classes and whatnot, but in Jummah or when we had COVID, that was considered more as an extension where there's no carpet over there. And so it was used more like, for regular non-carpeted area for salah.
Right. Overflow,
exactly. Yeah. But again, even in the main hall, right now we have classes going on. We have all sort of activities that happen. Friday nights we have, kids playing around with different games. It's a proper place that's utilized for multiple purposes. This is the ladies' hall, almost exactly the same kind of setup as men, but a little smaller, obviously, because of the capacity. The men's area's capacity is about 400 plus, and this is about 200 plus. If we really fill the hall, we're able to accommodate almost 1,000 people with, the 3 sections that we have. So 1,000
inside.
Exactly. Normally, like during summer breaks, summer holidays, and all of that, we do have people praying outside. Ramadan, we have that. Eid Salah kind of goes crazy. We have to do almost 3-4 before Salah because of the population. But again, the other thing that has happened is a lot of masajid have opened up in the Sugar Land area. So that has sort of reduced or actually taken away the traffic as such from here.
Right. In terms of capacity, can we say that Maryam Masjid has the biggest capacity in Houston?
In Houston, yes, absolutely. At this
It's
time.
the biggest masjid then in terms of size, mashallah. Yes.
This used to be our field. This is what we were known for. Unfortunately, because of the growing community, this is now being expanded. We're going to have our extension on this land right now, and then the field kind of goes further down. It used to be a soccer field, but it's now going to be an indoor basketball, wedding venue and whatnot. So basically a multi-purpose. All of this, exactly. It's almost so. Current size of the building is roughly about 15,000 square feet, and this is going to be an additional 15,000, so it makes it 30,000.
Right.
The entire property is on almost about 20 acres of land.
20 acres of land, mashallah, and obviously including the parking and
including the parking. So basically end to end, the entire property is 20 acres. Built property right now is about 30,000, rather 15,000 square feet, and then another 15,000 coming up. We have our trailers over there that is basically used for classes up until this building comes up, and then we have soccer field and all of that stuff.
Is there any plans for expansion of the prayer area?
So this is going to be an extension of the prayer hall. So basically what happens is this marble area, this wall is going to go away, and this will open up into the new building.
Oh, really? So this will become like a one...
So this is going to become that area and this area combined. So we're going to have almost, if you're talking about the physical square footage of prayer area, it's going to be almost about 20,000 plus.
And that will increase the capacity of people who can pray to double?
Exactly.
Double, mashallah. So 2,000?
2,000, exactly.
Subhanallah. That's fantastic. And that, when is it expected to be?
This just kicked off early this year. So our target is 3 years, but it might be done sooner than that. I mean, we're pushing because we've really run out of real estate
space now.
Exactly.
Oh, mashallah. Do you feel that Maryam Masjid is inviting more Muslims into the area?
Alhamdulillah. Actually, I would say it's probably one of the masjids where people are not able to decide if this is mainly Desi Masjid, mainly Arab Masjid, mainly African American. It's a diverse community. And alhamdulillah, Maryam in Houston is just unique in the sense that you have people actually moving from out of state because they see Maryam, they see the community of Maryam, they see the activities that happens in Maryam.
Yes.
That just attracts them and they feel that this is the community that they want to belong to.
MashaAllah, that's fantastic. And obviously you've seen the growth over the years. Initially, there must have been a few challenges.
To be honest, alhamdulillah, I think, it's the blessing of Allah, the barakah that we had in the community, that community feeling that we had. Right. I wouldn't say we had any challenge that is something worth mentioning. In fact, on the contrary, Sugarland mayor himself, the whole, the administration, the community, our neighbors, all of them have somehow, somewhere contributed very positively to the growth of this community, to the growth of Maryam. Alhamdulillah. So I would say, honestly, being in Texas, what it's known for probably, alhamdulillah, we never experienced that at all.
Yes, I think a lot of Muslims who don't live here, or maybe they live overseas, they must have this perception that, oh, Texas might be a racist state and Muslims might be having a tough time. But mashallah, you're mentioning that even the city has been very welcoming to the community here, and Allah made it
easy. I mean, I would say honestly, living in Fort Bend County, living in Sugarland, living in the vicinity of Maryam Islamic Center, we have never felt that we're in a place where it's known for such a negative thing. Alhamdulillah, I can tell you from my personal experience, and then being in the masjid from day one and kind of being very connected to the management of the center, we've never experienced a roadblock or any experience of racism. Absolutely not. Alhamdulillah.
Maryam Masjid, with the grace of Allah, has become such a popular masjid. People know about this masjid in other places and they want to visit, they want to see it, and also they move here because of it.
Right.
What's the next step for such a significant masjid in American life today?
In ISGH, a masjid basically has an associate director that is the main individual that sort of like controls the masjid. I was the associate director for the past 3 years, from 2019 to 2023. And this is something that I'm speaking out of personal experience. I see Maryam Masjid and the other masajid, alhamdulillah, I think, yes, we're expanding in terms of structure, but I think, our structural needs are coming to an end. We now need to work towards community building, and that's exactly what the goal is of Maryam Islamic Center. And that's why we now have 2 imams in the masjid. One imam takes care of our seniors, or you can say the 40 plus people. The other one is youth himself. He's barely 23, and so he is able to actually cater the needs towards our kids, our growing adults, our youth, from age of 5 to 35. Alhamdulillah, we have a very good representation in terms of the imam that we have. So that's the approach that we're taking. Alhamdulillah, again, we sort of set it the way we come up with ideas at Maryam is basically what turns out to be the trend in the other masajid. Alhamdulillah,
Mashallah, because brother, I have never heard that a masjid has two imams, because the workload
is
of
too
the
much.
Community is so much.
Exactly. And then we strategically identified in terms of the age as well, just so that they can connect with the entire community. We're not really focusing only on youth, and we're not really ignoring our seniors. Everybody has to make sure that the masjid is a welcoming place for them, no matter what their age is.
I just have to ask this question, that what do you think is the reason that Maryam Masjid became such a important masjid in America? People know about it. Why do they know about it, or how do they know about it? What was the reason, you think?
I mean, honestly, I think it's a very tough question. I can only say it's the barakah, that we had in the masjid, the blessings that we have from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think the intention of people serving in this masjid, the unity that we had in the community, that we have in the community right now. And I think what it is we always focused on people irrespective of what their background was, what their age was. We just made sure that the masjid needs to be welcoming at all stages of life, no matter what their background is. I think that's probably what really makes us stand out compared to maybe some other places.
Mashallah.
That's all I can think of, but I mean, I think it's just a blessing for Allah. Focus on the youth is very high, and we're giving youth the leadership role over here. So time that I joined in, my family, my brothers joined in, we're all the youngsters of the community. Of course, now we're becoming older, and so we're passing the torch on to the younger people of our community. We want to make sure that they're taking the lead. Even if we're leading in this age, we make sure that our driving team is from the youngsters. In fact, a good representation from all ages, but youth is definitely given preference. I mean, I would say the other beauty about this masjid is we've had people donate and contribute their time, their effort, based on whatever, their capability was, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed them with. So we have had people that were not able to donate financially, but the time that they put into the masjid was actually way more than the financial aspect of it. And we've had people literally that have donated hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, year after year. And alhamdulillah, never came to the limelight showing that they're the donors or the contributors to the projects that we had going on. And they never sort of dictated that. So they donated and walked away. And so the management, the organization, the people behind the scene were having full liberty to do things the way they thought was ideal. I think that's one of the other factors I feel that contributed towards what we are today.
Towards the success of the masjid and the community, mashallah.
Exactly.
And brother, one last question. Any family from other part of the country or overseas is thinking about moving to the Sugarland area, what does Maryam Masjid provide a family, a father, a mother and children in terms of the programs and the community life?
We have quite a few things. In fact, I probably forgot to mention. So one is this masjid is open to all. What we try to do is we make sure that even if we're not here after Isha and all of that, we have our security guard over here. So somebody comes into the masjid, has whatever issue and they need help. Then the director of the masjid always has their phone number with the security guard. He communicates with that person. If they need a hotel, or they need a place to stay for a night or so, no questions asked. The masjid accommodates them. And then our main center, meaning Islamic Society of Greater Houston, then has funds that takes care of, those people from the zakat and the sadaqah funds that we have. So that's for people that are needy.
Mashallah.
For people traveling or coming, moving to Houston, if they come to Sugarland, if they come to Maryam Islamic Center, we have teams that take care of that. So whether it's connecting them to a realtor, it's connecting them to different organizations that they might need access to, just to make sure that their settlement is easy. We facilitate as much as we can. And alhamdulillah, the beauty about it is everybody actually comes forward and does whatever they feel that should be done. So we are quite welcoming. We have different programs in place to accommodate and make their whole settlement process easy. But besides that, again, everybody has their own needs, so we kind of work with them on a need-by-need basis.
I have to ask, brother, that usually a masjid is just a place to pray, maximum you'll have some programs going on, but this really feels, what you just told me, it feels like the masjid steps out of its way to help people who are moving here or traveling or in need. What is the reason behind going such an extra mile for Muslims here?
I can answer this on a very personal basis. When we moved to Sugarland in 2000, there was no masjid in Sugarland. The closest that we had was almost about 20 minutes of drive from here. When we moved in this area, we're probably one of the very few people, Muslims that sort of like felt the need for a masjid. And it's like-minded people like us that started attracting people and made the masjid what it is today. So I feel our roots is in the idea of actually having a close-knit community. And so when you have somebody coming in from outside, if he feels, an outsider, then obviously it loses the identity that Maryam has. And so we feel that that needs to, no matter how big we grow, no matter how many people come into the community, I think everybody needs to have that sense of unity, that sense of connectivity with the community. And that's basically what we push for, and we make sure that, when we do it to the newcomers, they become all in the community, they do to the next one. It's just that idea that actually is making us grow the way we're growing. In fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but Fort Bend County is predominantly Desis. I don't know, I think I can comfortably say probably 40, 50%, 60% Desi.
Wow.
And now that could be Muslims, that could be, the different sects. But alhamdulillah, that's probably one of the reasons why we all sort of think in that same direction.
MashaAllah, that's amazing. And what was the reason of this growth of Desi population in this county?
I think Maryam Masjid has been one of the key things in the Muslim community. Right now, if you just go to Facebook, you have different groups, Houston Muslim group, Houston Sugarland group, Sugarland Muslim groups and all of that. If you look at when people move, they ask this question, where should I move that I will have access to masjid, I'll have access to Islamic education. You have a bunch of answers, you have obviously different communities, but if you start counting, Maryam Masjid is number one. For its beauty, its community, its proximity to the whole Islamic environment, I think actually makes us what we are today. And somewhere, Maryam Masjid was sort of like the initiating factor, I would say.
MashaAllah, Maryam Masjid is really pioneering in the spirit and essence of what service to humanity and service to Muslims, and that shows why so many people feel so close to this masjid.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many masajid that have evolved after Maryam, but right now when you talk about a Muslim, somebody coming out of Houston, they're like, I want to visit a masjid. If we're not the only ones mentioned, then we're definitely one of them that is mentioned. Alhamdulillah. I mean, again, that's not just the structure itself, but overall, just the community feeling. I'm sure, you would have felt it yourself. You walk into the masjid, the peace and the whole feeling that you get is just
absolutely, brother.
No, I think there's still a lot of place in Sugarland in its vicinity. If you're thinking about moving to Sugarland, absolutely keep Maryam Masjid in your roadmap. We're here as a masjid, as a community. We're here, and all I'll just say, keep us in your dua. This masjid has delivered and is still delivering, and we hope, inshallah, this will be passed on to the generations to come, inshallah. MQA program है Maryam Quran Academy. उसके साथ the secular education is also part of that program.
MashaAllah.
So this setup is for those kids. So, how are you? Doing good.
Part of Quran Academy and also secular education.
So people are not missed out. Something worth mentioning as well. It's a multi-purpose hall. This used to be called the boys' hall, and we have a girls' hall. So this boys' hall actually had TV, games, and whatnot for kids to just come out and hang out over here.
Wow.
Obviously, it did not evolve the way we expected. The structure was made with that purpose.
Oh, mashallah, that's great. Good use of the...
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, mashallah.
And this is our girls' hall. Again, same thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes used for classes, sometimes used for...
Right.
You have classes, it happens over the weekend. Isha, 7:30 bhi ho jati, then obviously kids still have time. So just come on.
They can hang out here,
right.
mashallah. Mashallah, it's definitely going to be expanding in the next few years. I think this won't be enough, brother.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a very nice chandelier, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah. ये chandelier और carpet ये दोनों जो है ये सऊदीया से आया था ये.
अच्छा, सऊदीया से.
Somebody donated.
Donated to the for this.
Exactly, to the masjid.
Mashallah.
Again, this was 2007. In fact, एक और history है. So आप ये जो देख रहे हैं ये जो fountain जो है, this is a separate property.
Right.
And then the other side of the fountain is a separate property. And then जो gate है, gate के बाद is a separate property.
Oh, right.
So after जो मैं आपको पहली location बताया था, on this road when you go all the way to the end, in fact you can probably take pictures of that. That used to be the very first location. उसके बाद then we moved to where the basketball court is. That's where we had
Right.
the trailers.
Okay.
Then उसके बाद फिर the third was we bought this property over here.
माशाल्लाह।
That's when this became the center. और फिर उसके बाद जो है वो जहाँ आप थे इस वक्त वो
जी,
जो
जी।
trailer है, that was small little properties that we bought. जो
Right.
last property हमने खरीदी है वो जो गेट के उस तरफ जो property है.
माशाल्लाह,
So it's like in
fantastic.
bits and pieces.
That's brilliant. अच्छा, अल्लाह की तरफ से सारी
निकलते रहे अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, exact.